Hey, hey, it's another Monday, and you know what that means. Another episode of Marcus Talks About Games with yours truly, Marcus Stewart, the ultimate motivational Monday. By that I mean that it gets you motivated to plow through the day as quickly and efficiently as possible so that you can run your ass home and fire up some video games. Or I guess if you have a Nintendo Switch, to encourage you to pull it out in the middle of your job and start playing video games. I can't be held responsible for any ramifications of what that action may do. I'm going to trust that you are stealthy and know how to get away with such an act. Just slide it under your notebook that has all your papers in it. Put it under your homework, your book report about the Ottoman Empire. I guess book report about the Ottoman Empire? That doesn't make sense. Unless you're reading a book about the Ottoman Empire. Or you could just play Assassin's Creed Revelations? That was about the Ottoman Empire. It was set there. Just play Assassin's Creed in general. That'll get you through every history class because those games cover all history. All aspects of history are explained in detail in Assassin's Creed. It just has a little bit more neck stabbings, people with hoods, and glowing balls. Anyways, how the heck are you, world? Hope you're kicking off your week right. I know I am because here's what I've been playing. More Crackdown 3. So remember last week when I was talking about how Crackdown 3 was a bit of a surprise in that everyone seems to hate the game, or at the very least find it to be mediocre, just completely uninspiring. And I fully admitted that I agreed with many of those criticisms, but I was still having fun regardless. Well, 1 week later, those sentiments are actually kind of the same. I'm still having fun. I will say, though, that the game has become incredibly repetitive, and I still would not recommend buying this game for $60. I am playing it because I have Game Pass, so it's included for free. So if you have that, then absolutely, why not? It's just there. It's like watching a not so great movie on Netflix. It's like, well, I'm paying for this service anyway. May as well watch this. Yeah, I would never, ever. Oh, almost turned into Chris Jericho there for a bit. Recommend that you pay $60 for this game, especially during this little period that we're in, because there's a lot of good stuff coming out and some big stuff to come very soon. But if you do have Game Pass, pick it up because it's still just mindless, dumb fun. I will say, like I said, it's very repetitive. All the missions are the same. They're just variations of, go to a spot and shoot at a bunch of designated like icons or whatever. Like, hey, you need to blow up this factory, shoot all the nodes. Oh, everything's blowing up. Hey, you need to stop this monorail system, shoot all the people there, fight the bigger person that comes out, it's yours. All the boss battles are basically the same, especially the big, I guess, like the upper echelon of the boss hierarchy. Like literally the three top bosses that are right below but the main boss, all of them involve scaling a tower and fighting them in a mech suit. Like they all wear mech suits, which I thought was hysterical. Like, this is the same basic fight. Like I'm climbing this thing and the boss is in a robot suit. Like, wow, like it's mind-boggling that it's that uninspired from fight to fight. And the fights have a little bit of difference between them, but that's pretty much the premise for all of them. At least for the big three. But like I said last week, I think that the game, for the most part, controls really fine. The platforming, like jumping around, still feels fun in that Incredible Hulk sense. Once you get agility orbs and you're just leaping over buildings like Superman before he knew how to fly. And once again, I fully admit that I'm probably having a little bit more fun because I have limited experience with Crackdown 1. So this is my first real, deep dive into a Crackdown game. And you could apply everything I'm saying to that first experience with Crackdown 1 12 years ago. But it's there's a part of me that is almost like upset that I'm enjoying it. I don't know why. It's a small part of me, but it's part of it's like, why am I playing this when I could be playing something else that I know is better? But I guess I just like having something I can turn my brain off completely. Like at this point I don't even listen to the game anymore. Like I'm about towards the end. It's a very short game too. I'm gonna throw that out there, which is another reason why you probably don't want to throw $60 at this. Not that short games aren't worth $60. I have no problem with like a short game if it's short for a good reason. Like if the plot resolves itself in a satisfactory manner in that time, because some games can pad themselves out needlessly and you can tell when you're just stretching for time. But if the plot is paced well enough where it's like, oh, okay, this is over in about 2-3 hours, but it served its purpose, or it served a purpose, I should say. I'm totally okay with that personally. But in this case, this just feels like, oh wow, like this is this big open world sandbox, and it's over after about 6-7 hours maybe. And there's nothing really else to do that's meaningful outside of doing the same really bare bones quest. And by quest, I mean like, oh, a racing challenge or like a jumping through rings challenge thing or whatever it is. There's not like NPCs giving you stuff like that. It's not that kind of game. Yeah, so I'm at the end ish. I have the last boss and then one boss right underneath her that I'm trying to beat right now, who's actually kind of a pain in the ass. But I stopped listening to what the game was actually about a few hours ago. I just only play it while listening to podcasts. And at the times that I do kind of take my earphones off to hear what's happening, I'm like, oh, nope, nothing important. I don't care. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should listen to this. And I go, no, actually, yeah, the game reminds me, like, I don't need to hear any of this. It's not great. The story seems dumb. But as I said last week, it's a great junk food video game. It's bad junk food, and sometimes, at least for me, I think you kind of need that to, at the very least, offer a palate cleanser in between the really big, heavy, substantial good games that actually do make me think, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes I don't want to have to analyze every little thing about like, oh, what's the meaning behind this game's plot and these characters and that. Like, even though I like that, I guess, there's times where like, I just want to turn it off completely and just go throw cars at things. So, Crackdown is serving its purpose. I don't expect it to be in my top 10 games of the year, though. Maybe it'll get a weird honorable mention. Who knows? So, there's that. I have finally wrapped up Resident Evil 2. The remake, of course. I have finished Claire's campaign. That game is phenomenal. I've said it multiple times now. It's probably tied for Game of the Year for me at the moment with Apex Legends. It's interesting, as I was playing Claire's campaign, I realized that even though I've played Resident Evil 2 before, the original Resident Evil 2, I don't really remember much about Claire's scenario. I always remember Leon's, and I think that's because every time I've played Resident Evil 2, I always start with Leon. Mainly because I've always just cared about him more. I think Claire's cool, and I've actually gotten a bit more of an appreciation for Claire after playing this, because I've never played any of the other games that really feature her heavily. Like, I've never played Code Veronica, never played Revelations 2, even though I have it somewhere. With one of these consoles, I know I have it. And yeah, like, so I've never really gotten in a chance to be invested in her. Like 2 was the only time I played it, and I was like, oh, she's cool, but like that Leon though. So this was, like playing her through a campaign, I grown to like her a lot more, to the point where it's like I want to fire up Revelations 2 now to get more of Claire. And I have a copy of Code Veronica on my, oh god, I think it's on my PS3. I know I bought it like on the PS1 Classic store. It's the only downside to that is that I have to unbox my PS3, which sounds like the biggest first world lazy problem ever, because it's literally just pulling it out of a box and plugging in 2 cables into a thing. But it's like, I gotta do that just to play this old game. So I don't know if it's on PS4. I know there are some PS1 games that you can buy on PS4, and I'm tempted to just buy it again on PS4. I'm sure it'd be like $5, $10, whatever it is, if it's there. But the only thing I've ever remembered about Claire's scenario in 2 was Sherry Birkin. Like, that was it. I was like, okay, I know you get a little girl who follows you around and you basically are like her big sister, but other than that, I don't remember much of the broad strokes, at least I don't remember much of the differences. I remember that you just kind of do the Leon stuff again, just a little bit differently. So it's hard for me to say like what they've added to the remake compared to the original one. Like, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that and maybe this is a spoiler. If you haven't played the game yet, it's not like a major story spoiler. It's just like more of a gameplay spoiler. So I'm gonna, throw that out there now. 3, 2, 1. There's the point where you play as Sherry briefly from one level where you're in the little orphanage and you've been taken hostage by the police chief, Mr. Irons, who is a bad guy and is just the worst person. And I was playing that, and I was like, okay, this has to be new. Like, I don't remember this at all in the Resident Evil 2, OG Resident Evil 2. But if it was there, let me know. I could look it up on my own, but I'm lazy. I'll probably do it at some point. Or you can just tell me. Hit me up. Start a discussion. But I like that segment. I am a fan. As a horror fan, I always like those little moments of being completely helpless. And I think that was a nice break from that game, because even though the game is very scary and you're having to conserve resources, you're still armed to the teeth. Especially Claire, who gets more weapons than Leon does. Like, she is like a walking just fortress tank woman. She's Tank Girl. Remember Tank Girl? Weird British comic that got a really terrible movie in the 90s. She's like that, but like more in a literal sense, not the actual Tank Girl, the character. She has a lot of guns. And so I think it was actually a really cool idea to be like, hey, what if we had a moment where we make you play as a character who is the complete opposite of Claire, can't do anything, all she can do is run and hide. And the villain is actually, being the police chief. In a way, it's almost scarier than the zombies, because, not to get cliche, but, the only thing scarier than a monster is man. Because at least monsters are predictable. Dun dun dun. Anyways, I had fun with it. I kind of ran through Claire's campaign compared to Leon's. I had a great time. And now I've forgot about this, but now I've got the Ghost Survivor stuff, which is like I guess like a collection of smaller scenarios starring some of the side characters that you run into during both campaigns. So I'm actually excited to play it, because I completely forgot, and I was like, oh, cool, I got more Resident Evil 2 to play at some point. But once again, I'm gonna say it for the umpteenth time: if you have not played this game and you love horror, and I'm not even gonna say if you love Resident Evil, because if you love Resident Evil, you're probably playing this game or will play it at some point. But if you love survival horror with some action, this game is incredible, and it's one of the best remakes I've ever played, but it feels like a brand new game because of how different it is from the source material. So bravo, Capcom, who's on a bit of a roll right now in the last year or so. Monster Hunter World hit with me, despite not ever being a Monster Hunter fan. That was great. And it was great for them too, because I believe it's the highest selling game ever to come from Capcom, like ever throughout their history. This is amazing. Mega Man 11. I've not played it yet, but I've heard very good things about it, and I have it, and I just haven't gotten to it. And now, this week, I believe it's Friday, Devil May Cry 5, which I am super stoked about. As a huge Devil May Cry fan, I will absolutely be picking that up day one, and you'll probably hear me talk about it next week. So tune in next Monday to hear me, hopefully gush about Devil May Cry, about how good it is, or you can hear me go crazy and say this is the biggest disappointment is Devil May Cry 2. Fingers crossed on the former. Let's see. Oh, actually, almost forgot. Another game I've been playing is a new game that released I think it was the last day of February, only a few days ago, called Ape Out, which I had not heard of leading up to it, and I had only heard of it, I think it was when it launched. I was hearing just online, just hearing people talk about this game, like, and kind of praising it, and then I heard someone describe it, and I was like, okay, like, I haven't heard of this, I'm gonna look into this. If you're not familiar with Ape Out, it is published by Devolver Digital, and it is developed by a fellow named, and hopefully I pronounce his last name right, if not, I apologize, Gabe Cuzillo? Cuzillo? It's Cuzzillo. And it's a game about you, like the player controls a gorilla, and as the name suggests, you're a captive gorilla who breaks out, and you're just trying to escape by beating the crap out of the, I don't know if they're hunters, but basically the enemies are just people trying to kill you and stop you from escaping. The perspective of the game is top down, and it has a very strong Hotline Miami vibe. So if you're a fan of Hotline Miami, you will probably like this game a lot. I've enjoyed those two games, especially the first one. But it's got a very similar DNA in that it's top down, and you're moving from room to room and just kind of like hitting everyone along the way, and it's like one hit kills generally. And it's all about trying to find the right, like when you get into the flow of just like going through a room and just hitting that guy before they can shoot you. And because you can only take about maybe 2 or 3 hits depending on the weapon that the enemy's using. They have like rifles and shotguns, some of them have bombs, and I haven't finished the game. I am on the second chapter, I guess you would call it. The way the game is structured is that they describe it as like discs, so it's like literally like you've completed disc 1, now you're on disc 2, so I'm on the second, I guess, disc, quote unquote. But in that Hotline Miami way of figuring out how to masterfully just melee your way through this gauntlet of enemies and do so without getting hit or without taking too many hits, it scratches that same itch, and it can. The difference is that as the gorilla, you're not wielding any weapons. All you can do to people is if you run up to them, you can either push them against a wall, which is kind of what you want to do, because if they don't hit a wall, they won't die. But there are walls everywhere, so you push them, they'll hit a wall, and they'll literally like explode into body parts. Or you can grab them and either use them as human shields, or you can use the enemies that you grab and they'll shoot their gun and they can kill other people. Like they'll always fire off one shot. So you have to think strategically of like, okay, I'm going to grab the shotgun guy because he'll fire off one shotgun blast that can hit multiple people at once because I'm going into this crowded room. And then I'm going to, once he kills the 3 people that are there, I'm going to throw him against the wall and kill him and then keep going. It's a very simple game, but it's so well done in how it plays. It plays really well. It's smooth. I'm gonna keep comparing the Hotline Miami, but it's hard not to. It gets that same just because the way the game's structured, it creates those super tense moments of like, okay, I'm surrounded by enemies, like I need to hide or I need to hit this guy before he hits me, but this guy just came around a corner and shot me, like damn it. Like there's so many moments you're just like, damn it, like I was so close, but that one guy, like right when I was gonna rush him, he beat me to the punch right before I could get to him. And the game gets pretty challenging. It's almost like a puzzle because you're dying and you're going through the same rooms, though I think, and I haven't confirmed this, but I think the game is somewhat procedurally generated because I've gone through the same areas multiple times from dying, and the layout always seems just a bit different every time. It's never the exact same way, unlike Hotline Miami, which is always just static environments. So on one hand, you can't do the Hotline Miami thing of memorizing where people are and then forming a strategy around that. Like, okay, like I know there's a gun here, I'm going to get the gun and then kill the guy that I know is in the bathroom and You can't do that, as far as I can tell. On one hand, you would think that would make the game harder, but it actually doesn't have, at least for now, I've not seen any of the cheapness that can happen with Hotline Miami, where sometimes in those games, especially the second one, there would be moments where an enemy that was off screen would kill you because you haven't like walked far enough for him to appear in frame, but all of a sudden you'll be going down a hallway and then a guy that you didn't know was there gets ticked off to your location and you just take a bullet to the skull and you're like, how was I supposed to know there was a guy there? In this game, the enemies, they take about a second before they shoot you. Even when they see you, they have a moment where they have to aim, and you still get like a brief window to either run or rush them. And I like that because even if it's someone that you didn't know was there, they can't pop you immediately. You get a second for them to aim. And I like that a lot. I've played all of that first disc, which is several levels, and again, disc in quotations. First chapter, I played it in one sitting because I could not put it down. I think it's super fun, and what another really cool thing about it, or actually two things I should say, and this is regarding the presentation, is the look of the game. It has a really cool, like a stylish graphical look that I was trying to figure out how I was going to describe this before starting the show, and I'm still struggling, but the only thing I could think of is it almost looks like animated paper, I guess. I've seen the look before in like other media, but I can't pinpoint of like, oh, you know that thing? It looks like that, but I feel like if you see it, you'll know it. Like you'll be like, oh, I've seen this type of animation before. It looks like, you know what? Have you ever seen the movie poster for Burn After Reading? The Coen Brothers movie, which is a very good movie if you've never seen it. Even if you've never seen it, look up that poster for Burn After Reading, look at the style of that, and that's the style of Ape Out, but like in motion. It's that. And I've never seen that in a video game. So it's got a really cool look. And the other really big feature this game has that a lot of people talk about is the music. This game relies on its soundtrack in a very big and surprising way, where the entire soundtrack, at least so far, is like this drums, like jazz drum soundtrack. Like it's just a bunch of like drumming and like it's all a bunch of really upbeat and like jazzy drum arrangements, and it does a really cool thing where it, like, everything you do triggers a musical cue. So like you'll bust out for the first time from your cage, and then the drums will be like, you know, but like in a stylish way. And then every time you hit a guy, like you'll throw a guy against the wall, and then you'll get like a cymbals crash or something like that. And then the soundtrack builds and builds upon itself the more things that you do, and it plays into that art style where it's got a very kind of like snazzy, like almost like an Ocean's 11-y like vibe of like, I'm escaping from this place. And it's super cool. Like it's almost like a rhythm game, in the sense that you're like everything you do plays into like an arrangement of music. It's not that you're trying to make this happen, like, you know, there's no like, you're not trying to intentionally build music for the game or anything like that. It's not like that. It's not like a traditional rhythm game in that sense, but it's got like an influence of the rhythm genre just because of how the music complements the action and actually even interacts with it directly in that way. It's definitely a game that, unlike Crackdown 3, you don't want to mute and put on a podcast for, because I think that would rob it of a lot of its charm and its uniqueness. And also the soundtrack is very, very good. Like those that jazz drum is really fun to listen to, and it's also very different than a lot of soundtracks out there currently for games. So yeah, this is a game. It's super cool. I'm having a great time. I played a little bit the day before, and I actually played some right before recording this. I can't wait to sit down and play through more of it. I'm having a hell of a time with it. If you want to pick it up, I think it's only $15. It's on Switch and PC. I'm playing it on Switch. I think that it's coming to PS4, or if it's already there. Okay, as far as I can tell, it's not on anything else or on any other console right now except for Switch. So for now, Switch or PC, it's on Steam. 2 thumbs up from me. Really unique game. It takes a simple concept and does a lot of cool things, and with it, so far every chapter has felt different. They keep introducing new elements that layer on each other in cool ways. Go pick it up, give it a try, and let me know what you think of it. And that's about it for what I've been playing this week. I haven't played any Apex Legends the last few weeks, or the last week I should say, last few weeks. In the last 7 days, I have not played Apex or very much of it. I've just been focused on other games. Still playing Kingdom Hearts 3. I know that sounds awful. I'm still in Frozen. I did pick it up again and start playing through it. I've just had a hard time sticking with it in the wake of other things, but I want to get back to it. It's not a knock against Kingdom Hearts 3 particularly. It's just how much... It's more of kind of saying how much I've loved the other stuff around it that's been coming out, like Resident Evil, for example, and Apex, and now Ape Out has got my attention. But I would love to get it done before Devil May Cry. That's probably not going to happen, but it would be, it's a nice dream to have. Been playing a bit of Splatoon 2, because I realized I've never actually finished the campaign, because I picked that up over the Christmas break. So I started playing a bit of that while I was out getting tires changed. Took my Switch with me to the tire changing place and played some Splatoon 2 campaign. And I was like, oh yeah, Splatoon's still awesome. Love this game. So did a bit of that. Otherwise, I would like to take this moment to transition into a little bit of game news. And that, the Pokemon game for Switch, the big one, the big new one that was promised forever ago, got its big reveal finally in a Nintendo Direct the last week. Man, we've been talking about Nintendo stuff. This is like the third show in a row when Nintendo's kind of taken center stage with Reggie, the Ballad of Reggie Fils-Aimé last week, which, if you have not listened to that episode, please go listen to it, because I went out of my way to sing a dumb song for it, and maybe you shouldn't listen to it. Maybe there's a part of my brain that wants you to not ever listen to that episode to hear me sing, and there's the part of my brain that wants you to go listen to that episode so that I feel like I didn't sing and pour my heart and soul into this song for nothing, all for Reggie Fils-Aimé. But I'm sure Reggie is very excited for the new Pokemon game, which has now been officially revealed as Pokémon Sword and Shield. Yep, same thing, 2 different versions for Switch. It's weird, I was slightly surprised. I don't know why I was surprised that they would do 2 versions for Switch, because that's what they always do for a mainline Pokemon game. But for some reason, in my mind, I always thought like, oh, this will be just one game. I have no reason why. There's no evidence like to support that just based on their history. I mean, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee happened the year before, so that kind of should have shown like, oh no, they'll do this on console too. So Sword and Shield are coming out. The Direct that unveiled it was only 7 minutes long, which I was not aware of going in. I remember when it stopped, I was like, did I miss something, or no? Okay, that's it. But it looks pretty cool. It looks like, I guess like the next step in the kind of the style that Let's Go kind of introduced in terms of like the graphical look. It's a new region, the Gala region, I think it was called. And, we got to look at the new starters, which I'm not the biggest Pokemon like diehard. I have a love of that first generation. When the series was first introduced in America, I was, in 5th grade, so I was like the prime age for Pokemon. And I got super into it in the late 90s, early 2000s when that initial craze started. I played Red and Blue to death, and Yellow as well, watched the anime, collected the cards, did all that stuff. So I always have like a deep, like just almost like a nostalgic love for Pokemon, even though I've never really kept up with the series since then. Like Pokemon Go was the most Pokemon I played in forever. But I'm looking forward to this. I will probably, and by probably I mean there's probably like an 85-90% chance I will play Sword and Shield, because this is the Pokemon game I've always wanted for a long time. I wanted a console, like pretty much what a lot of fans want. It was like, oh, just do like a Red and Blue, like just do the games that you do all the time, but just put it on a console with like with that kind of horsepower behind it, like the AAA Pokemon RPG experience. We got that with Let's Go, which I still do want to play. And watching this Direct, I was like, yeah, this looks like the thing that you guys said you were going to do, that made me go, okay, that's what I want. I was almost on a weird tangent there, but I was going to say that the starter Pokemon look fine. Scorbunny. I guess it's like Scar, like, or Score. It's like Scorch, right? Like Scorch Bunny, so it's Scorbunny. That's my guy. I'm gonna go with him. He looks the cutest to me and just the coolest. Rabbits are cool. So I saw when they showed all 3, I was like, I'm gonna go with Scorbunny. I just hope that he stays cool throughout his evolutions and doesn't like regress. The last Pokemon RPG that I played was Pokemon Platinum, and that was completely on a whim because I had not played any Pokemon in between Platinum. The last one I played was Gold, and I never finished it because my Game Boy got stolen. I've told this story on the podcast before. So I played Platinum on DS, and I picked Infernape, and I thought Infernape was pretty badass and still one of my favorite Pokemon. And Scorbunny, I hope, can continue that lineage of cool fire starter types, so don't let me down, dude. But the game looks neat, and it's another big game in what's kind of looking like a pretty stacked 2019 for the Switch in terms of even there's just first-party stuff, but there's some cool third-party stuff coming out. So in the spirit of Pokemon Sword and Shield, what I have in store for the next segment is a Pokemon game, a related game, where if you remember the old anime, they used to have the Who's That Pokemon segments where they would put the silhouette of the Pokemon. In the next segment, I have a fun little game that I've got a special guest on for. He is a co-host of the Full Circle podcast and a legitimate Pokemon expert, friend of mine, one Odell Harmon Jr. If you haven't seen him on Full Circle, you might have caught him on Kinda Funny Games Daily, where he guest hosted not that long ago, maybe a month or so ago, where he killed it. He's also a former Game Informer intern like myself, and he's an all-around good dude, very entertaining. I've roped him to participate in a game I like to call Hear That Pokemon, and where I'm going to play the battle cries of Pokemon from the original Red and Blue games and have him try to guess which Pokemon it belongs to. We recorded this back in December, and I've been sitting on it for a while, just kind of waiting for an opportunity, an appropriate opportunity to use it. And the excitement around Pokemon Sword and Shield presented the perfect opportunity to finally bust it out in the world. How many can Odell get right? And by that note, how many can you get right? I'd love for you to play along, see if you can guess which sound effect matches what Pokemon. So turn your hats around backwards. Welcome Odell to the show for Hear That Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy!
Fuck!
Hey everyone, I am back, and I'm not alone. I've got a friend here, a Poke expert, Pokemaniac, a Poke professor? Poke professor? That's a term? Probably?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to, Harvard School of Pokemon, but I'm self-proclaimed.
I don't think Professor Oak did either. I don't know if there's been a backstory about where he studied. Exactly, at least to my knowledge. You would know better than me, but when I used to watch, he just wore a lab coat and he was smart. He could have just put that coat on one day and maybe he was just really smart and just made himself a professor. He's got a fake diploma on his wall. Who knows?
That's true.
But anyways, someone that is like a real life Professor Oak is one Odell Harmon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Wrapping up the year nicely. Actually, I'm not, but I'll pretend I am.
Yep. And this might sound weird, but at the time we were recording this, it is not quite 2019 yet. It's 2019 now that you're listening to this, so a little peek behind the curtain.
Oh, but, man, I broke the illusion. Forgive me.
Yeah, you're exposing the business. Exposing the business, man. It's a work. It's a work. It's not a shoot. Anyways, it's fine. But yeah, I've got you here today because I'm going to utilize your brain when it comes to Pokemon. You are a big Pokemon fan. You do a lot of things Pokemon related. You play the games, you've done the tournament. I've witnessed you at official tournaments doing all kinds of really involved things that I don't understand as a casual fan, we'll say. That's probably the best way to describe my relationship with Pokemon. And yeah, so I decided that I wanted to test that knowledge.
All right.
In the most creative and just in a way that the only way I know of, and just growing up watching the anime, there was the Who's That Pokemon, the Poke Rap, I know it's Pokemon. Who's That Pokemon was different from the Poke Rap. The Who's That Pokemon thing was like in the middle of the show, with that little silhouette, And they're like, who's that Pokemon? And then you shout, oh, it's probably Agumon. And then the show's like, no, it's Pikachu, you moron. It's not even the same show.
I always liked how Who's That Pokemon was just like, what Pokemon have we shown the most for the past 15 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. It's like, it's usually the Pokemon that the episode is probably revolving around. They're like, oh, well, this is a Magnemite episode. I guess that's what that is. And probably the fact that it has magnet-shaped, like, body parts doesn't help either. But obviously, being an audio-only podcast, we're going to do an audio version of that game where I have assembled 10 Pokemon cries from the original Game Boy games, Pokemon Red and Blue, or Green, if you live in Japan. And I've picked these at random, and I want to see if you are good enough to identify the correct Pokemon based on that crappy, compressed sound file alone. Because I certainly could not, I know that much. So, and the way we're going to do this is that we're going to play one at a time, and I will give you, we'll say I'll give you 2 guesses. Two or 3. Okay, 3 guesses.
I'm about to say, 3's fair.
So yeah, I was going back and forth with 2. All right, do you think you need 3 guesses?
Yeah, three. I mean, that's like, 3 wishes, 3 strikes you're out, etc.
That's a good reasoning. The best things come in 3s. So we'll do that then. 3 guesses, and of course, being that this is Red and Blue, this will only be the original 151 Pokemon, and I think if I could make a prediction now, I'm gonna say that you're gonna get maybe 4 of these. Gonna throw it out now.
Ooh,
I don't know if
we're doing like the cries of the show, it'll be 100%. But since we're talking,
oh, I mean, the cries of the show are their name, so.
Right, so we're talking about original. What's the Game Boy 16-bit?
No.
All right, these going off 8-bit noises, 8 to 16. Let's
really
call it
crappy. Yeah, and it's a handheld too, so it's like really compressed files. Like, it's not great quality. It wasn't great back then. It's even worse now. So like when I was going through, because I literally listened to every cry multiple times, getting this all put together, and was kind of picking. There are some kind of iconic ones, and there's some that are just weird, but I picked some of the more like interesting ones of like, oh, like what the hell is that? Okay. So there's a couple in here that I expect you to recognize, because I recognized it just from playing those games religiously as a kid, and there are others where I was like, what the hell is that? If I didn't see the Pokemon associated with it, I would never have guessed that is what he would sound like at least in that game. So now that we're clear on the rules, Mr. Odell,
yes,
are
sir.
you ready?
I'm ready. I gotta make my family proud.
Yes, your Poke family back in Pallettown, Texas.
I mean, alrighty. I'm from New Barktown, but that's okay. That's the town in Johto.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. See, I watched Johto. That was the last one I watched before I threw my hands up and quit.
Like a reasonable person.
Yeah, that tournament at the end should have gone a different way. I'll leave it at that. It should have ended with Ash winning. That's basically what should have happened and did not happen. All right, so you have all of the sounds in front of you, so feel free to play the first one.
All right, give me a second, and I am going to give it a listen. All right. I've heard it. It had a good noise to it.
That's one way to interpret that.
So just based off the noise and what I know of the game, I'm getting very electric Pokemon vibes. I don't know if that Magnemite comment earlier was meant to throw me off, but now you incepted me. And now, so I'm going to go. Going with my gut feeling of maybe it's an electric Pokemon. I am going to say maybe Voltorb.
No.
Oh. Okay.
Strike one.
So if I get this wrong, I want to try to save myself by saying it's either a flying or an electric Pokemon. If it's neither one of those, then
just adding caveats to this.
Yeah. All right. So
all right. So guess again.
All right. This is completely. Wait. Hold on. Can I give it a re-listen?
Sure. I will allow you. Since you get 3 guesses, you will only be allowed to have 3 listens. How about that?
3 re-listens? Oh, okay.
3 listens.
I'm not.
You better make them count.
All right. I can't go out on the first one like this. Okay. Sure. I'm gonna go with Electabuzz.
No.
Okay. All right. So
you buzzed wrong.
All right. So this one is completely left field. But Articuno.
No.
Well, damn.
You were actually quite a ways off. And this is actually, I'm surprised because this is actually one of the ones I thought you would get immediately. It's one of the easier ones, so maybe that doesn't bode well for the rest. This was Metapod.
Oh.
And it's actually one of the few that when I listened to it, I recognized it without having to know what it was. Just because, going through Viridian Forest, you run into like 19 of them. So I just remember hearing it a lot.
Listen, just for my peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you said it, I can see it. I'm gonna blame Pokemon Let's Go because I've been playing a lot of that. The cries are semi-updated. I was
gonna ask, okay. I only played a bit of it at E3. I can't remember. Like, I was wondering, like, is it just the same crappy cries but like update, or did they just redo everything? Like, did they just? Because I feel like at this point you would just have them say the Pokemon's name, like in the anime.
Well, you have Pikachu's like Pikachu because it's Pikachu, and Eevee has like this weird Goi. Like
Eevee doesn't say. She's like one of those weird Pokemon that don't actually say their names, which always broke the continuity of like, well, how do you know that Charizard is Charizard's name? He never actually says Charizard. So like, how do you know? You know what I mean? I don't know if there's like an in-universe explanation for that, but I've always wondered that.
No, it always made me upset because it'll be like the Pokemon that say clearly like understandable things. Okay, like Charizard just growls. Okay, I get that. But then it'd be like, go Arbok, and it clearly says Charbucka. And I'm like, this says Charbuck. Why is it not Charbok?
And I assume the reason was that, because he's talking with, like, his tongue is always out, so maybe, like, it's just the result of, like, a speech impediment, but at the same time, you don't know that. Like, maybe you're just assuming that. Maybe it is Charbuck, and then someone would have to assume, like, well, it's probably Arbok. It's clearly speaking with some sort of speech impediment, because his mouth's always open with his tongue and his teeth or something. I don't know. Pokemon Company, or whoever, give us if you listen to the show, we want an explanation. Just the two of us. We're the only ones that care. Probably. Anyways, that's strike one, Odell. You've got the first one wrong, but it's okay. You got 9 others to bounce back. So feel free to play sound number 2.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah. And remember, you only get
3. All right. So this one, I know. And I'm just going to say it's Pidgey.
Wrong.
Okay, it's Caterpie.
Wrong.
It's...
Do you want to listen one more time?
This one is Eevee.
Incorrect. You're going to hate yourself once you find out what this is, because you were actually very close. It's actually Pidgeotto.
Oh!
And I thought you were just going to... Because you were so close on Pidgey, and I was like, should I just give him a hint? Like, say it's in the ballpark. I was like, no, I can't do that. So I was hoping you would just go up the evolutionary chain, because I was like, maybe he's so sure that it is in the Pidgey family that he'll just name all 3.
I mean, I was so sure. I said Pidgey with such confidence. Like,
Oh,
I
you
was
were
like,
you were right there.
like, did you hear the confidence? I was like, Pidgey, done, easy, next one.
Yeah, that's why I thought, okay, like he knows it's Pidgey something, so he'll probably just say Pidgeotto next. And then I was like, oh no, he's diverting now. Like he's abandoned the Pidgey train already. No, sorry, Odell. Pidgeotto, one of my personal favorites from the show. That's right now you're 0-2. But again, you still got 8 more to go. You can still get above average. So, go ahead and play sound number 3.
All right, give me a second. Ooh, pressure's on.
Imagine Professor Oak staring down on you.
All right, I can say with confidence, I have no idea what this one is.
Well, you got 3 guesses. You could throw.
I'm gonna say Magnemite because I feel like Magnemite's on here because you were trying to insult me earlier, so I will use Magnemite.
And you're really making a lot of that comment. But no, it's not Magnemite.
You know, there's a lot of distortion that sounds like electrical Pokemon noise, but I know that's due not on purpose just because of the time. Let's see. I'm not gonna use my re-listen until the last 5. But I instantly forgot what it sounded like, so I'm gonna say Growlithe.
No. I'm sorry. Growlithe has to go back to the police station.
Coughing.
No, that was an interesting final choice, but no. Coughing. Apparently not. No, it is not coughing. All right. But since you did not know which this one was, this was Raichu.
Oh. Well, damn. Electric Pokemon.
So you were in you had the right idea with Magnemite in terms of like the type. And I think you even said that it sounded like an electric Pokemon. So you had the idea, but then like your Pidgey thing, you immediately just jumped off of that train.
All right, so I'm learning here. I should like build upon my first guess, not go in other directions.
Sometimes, I guess, unless your first guess is completely wrong, but we'll see. Alrighty, so 0-3 for all you guys keeping score out there. All right, sound number 4, hit it.
All right, here we go.
I will say that I think of every sound on this list, this is the easiest one.
See, why you gotta say something like that? So now when I get it wrong, people will be like, ha 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 ha. Master.
Okay, we'll see.
You know what? I need to re-listen because you distracted me with your doubt.
Like, it made you self-conscious. And...
So that's my first re-listen. Oh, God. See, now this one also sounds like Pidgey. So, but you already put Pidgeotto.
I did already use Pidgeotto.
So, with the assumption you wouldn't be cruel to put Pidgeotto and Pidgey, I'm going to say this is a flying Pokemon, and I'm just going to say it's Spearow.
No.
I'm going to say it's Fearow.
No. I appreciate you learning from your mistakes, but no.
This is Oddish.
No. Man, this so kind of fitting the trend of your last 4. You had the right idea in terms of it is a flying Pokemon. So you were on the right type in the right category, I guess. And I'm genuinely surprised. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's me, like my history growing up with the games. But this is another, much like Metapod, this is one that you run into a crap load in the kind of the early hours of Red and Blue. So it's one of the sounds that are like permanently ingrained in my skull. This is Zubat. And
so I'm like 4 for 4 with typing here.
It's like you're always brushing up against the solution, and then for something you always I noticed you get like 2 or 1 or 2 in the ballpark, and then you take like one kind of leap of faith choice, which isn't bad because you never know. It might be the leap of faith. It just has not paid off for you. But yes, Zubat is the answer we were looking for today. And anyone that's heard that sound, you heard it a lot, and it would be an earphone killer. If you had were playing your Game Boy and you were going through that first cave, I forget the name of it, but it's basically Zubat Central. You just run into one every 2 seconds, and that's all you hear constantly is that. So yeah, I'm sorry, Odell. That's well, you know what? We have 6 left, so if you get all 6 of these right, you'll still have gotten more right than you got wrong.
Well, you're right. You're right about that. That's a positive.
It is, trying to keep the hope alive. So, with that said, go ahead and play clip number 5.
All right, here we go. I gotta redeem myself. Okay, with 100% certainty, this is a psychic or ice Pokemon.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
It is not the psychic ice Pokemon Jinx. I know that much. But I know it is psychic or ice. I am leaning more towards, I'm like 70% psychic, 30% ice. Don't know why ice is ringing a bell. But going off of that, I'm just going to shoot the first 2 guesses. Drowsy or Abra?
No and no.
That leaves me with Kadabra.
I'm afraid not.
If it's Alakazam, I'm going to be extremely pissed.
It is not even a psychic type. In fact, it was neither ice nor psychic. It was a bug type. Bug/poison, I guess it would be, technically. It was Parasect.
Oh, now that I know, I'm not really that mad, because I'm just like, yeah, Parasect sounds like that.
It's a pretty obscure choice. No shame in losing that one. I picked it primarily because it sounded kind of cool. And I was like, it's almost too cool for that Pokemon. So yeah, Parasect. Sorry. So we're at the halfway mark now, and you've it's kind of a shutout, I'm afraid to say.
Well, I can still go 50-50. I can still get a coin toss.
You can still do that. You can consider this the like warm up round. Sometimes, I mean, this is probably your strategy. You usually go like complete destruction at the beginning, but then you come back in. This is an underdog story now. You sir are the Mighty Ducks. That's what I'm basically saying. And any second now, Coach Bombay is gonna bust through your door and give you the pep talk that you need to really bring it home and turn it around. So, clip number 6. Give it a listen.
All right. I oh man, this is tough. But all right, 6. Wait, hold. Let me count. Let me make sure I'm clicking on the right ones. Maybe I set myself up for failure from the beginning.
Should be the one that says Untitled 6.
All right, 6. I'm just gonna rapid fire, so I can't second guess myself on anything. So you ready?
Okay.
Can I hear yes or no?
Well, let me at least like rapid fire. I'll say yes or no after each one.
Okay. Dratini.
No.
Voltorb.
No.
Butterfree.
No.
Okay.
It was, and Team Rocket fans will know this one. It was a Victory Bell.
Oh. I can honestly say I'm not sure what that sounds like in game.
But now you know.
Now I know.
I mean, to be fair, you're used to him, like, his voice being muffled because he's always immediately eating James as soon as he pops out. So he never gets the chance to just kind of talk. His mouth is always full.
And he was one of the Pokemon that didn't say his name. He just screeched. It was just I'm not going to imitate screeching into the mic.
It was pretty terrifying. It's a very jarring screech. It's just like, It's very shrill. Again, I don't know how they decided that it was called Victory Bell and not like Shrieky Bell, but someone decided to name it that. Okay. So we are up to number 7. Lucky number 7. This is your one. This is your one.
All right. You know, I had to re-listen to number 6 because I swear 7 sounded like it should have been Victory Bell. Bulbasaur.
Nope.
Rattata.
I'm afraid not.
I need to use a re-listen.
Need a replay.
Oh man, it sounds it's like my brain is screaming at me. You know this right now. Oh, I'm feeling grassy. I'm getting grass vibes from this. I could be wrong, but I'll go against my vibes and not say grass Pokemon. I'm gonna go with Geodude.
Ding, ding, ding. That was correct, sir. You did it. That is absolutely correct. It was Geodude. See, lucky number 7. You were so close to saying the wrong thing, but you trusted your heart. Holy crap. I was like, man, he's going to say a grass Pokemon. I was like, oh no. Wow. Yes, Geodude. He is apparently your dude tonight.
You know, if this was like the moment in the game show where you like they gave him the answer because he was so wrong in all his assumptions.
Alex Trebek felt really bad. He's like, this is a terrible episode. We got to have some sort of competition going on here. But no, sir, that was 100% you at just what a miraculous save there. Like you were so close to teetering on the edge, and then you came back. See, we called it. Number 7. Lucky number 7. So at least, if you get nothing else right, at least you can say you got 1. And if you get the rest of them right, it will, I will be right in my prediction that you get 4 of these.
Oh, man. Well.
So basically, you're doing this for me now, to make me look good.
All right. I can't let you down.
Okay, so now, but hey, that's got to give you a bit of a confidence boost that you got 1. You can go ahead and, see if that luck carries over to clip number 8.
That is Jinx. That is 100% Jinx.
It is 100% not.
Damn. Crap. Crap. I really thought that was Jinx. Like that's what this is a Pokemon cry that is like very like distinctive.
Yeah, you jinxed yourself on that one.
Oh, I did.
You got 2 guesses.
Abra.
Afraid not.
Well, I thought I got the victory chime there.
No, that's just my phone.
I have 2 guesses, and I feel like I have 50-50 on them. So in case this is wrong, I will take the L, but I want to use my other 50% guess just to see how close I was. I'm going to say Execute.
No.
Which means it was Executor.
No.
Which means it was Dugong.
No, I forgot Dugong existed till you said his name, but no.
Okay, I don't know.
It was Hypno.
Oh!
Yeah. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. You really put the no in Hypno. Am I right? Probably shouldn't make fun of you, make fun of your misfortune there. I'm sorry. But that's what a game show host does, is make really terrible jokes at the expense of the competitors. It's okay, you still got Geodude. You still got that.
He's my dude.
He's your dude. He should be like your spirit, like, partner. Like, he's your Pikachu right now. Like, you should be looking to him and being like, he gives you the inspiration you need when you look into his rock eyes and his little fist. He's like waving his little fist at you, trying to rally you on. All right, so we are at the penultimate sound effect, and I'm very curious to see if you get this one. So, without further ado, go ahead and give it a play.
All right, I'm trying to finish strong here, but my spirit's kind of broken. Not gonna lie to you guys. I forgot to mention that degree from Harvard was our honorary degree. So, all right. See, what happened was I must have pressed 9 the first time instead of pressing 8 because that is Jinx.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Number 9 is Jinx. Which is hysterical, because when you guessed Jinx for Hypno, I was like, man, he's just shy. Like, if he saves that for, like, if he keeps that thought process for the next one, he'll totally nail it, because he's just one shy of the right answer.
I have to say, Hypno and Jinx are very similar, now that I've listened to them back to back.
They do both have very, like, similar and very distinct, almost kind of melodic cries. Like, they put more work into those than the other ones.
So, I came back, was like, oh, okay, now this is Jinx. If that was not Jinx, Marcus, I would have not answered number 10. I would have ended the recording, and you could have just filled in time however you felt.
You're just like, we'll call it a rage quit. Like, Odell has stormed off the set, ladies and gentlemen. He has thrown down his headset. He's out of here. Well, you've got one left. Number 10, the final sound. What could it be? You've got over 140 or whatever, 30, however many are left to choose from. Who could this last one be? Mr. Odell, I wish you good luck and Godspeed. Give it one last play.
All right, here we go. Okay. I figured there's been no legendaries. It's number 10. It sounds like a psychic. I'm just going to say Mewtwo because that would just make sense.
Does it make sense?
It makes sense to be my first guess.
Well, you were absolutely right! It is Mewtwo!
Oh man, I was one shot at your prediction. I'll take my 30%.
You've got a 30%, and you've got 3 right. 3 out of 10, which is almost what I predicted, and it's in some, or rather most school districts is a pretty severe failing grade. But you know what? It's better than 0. 3 out of 10, and those 3, who are apparently your 3 favorite Pokemon now, are Geodude, Jinx, and Mewtwo. Talk about what an amazing team that is. What a trio. You should play Let's Go and just put all 3 of those in your team, like nothing else, just those 3.
Alright, I'm gonna get a t-shirt made with like those 3 and like myself now.
Just no context whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most random assortment of Pokemon. Like, oh, you really like those 3, huh? Like, yeah. Alright, well, that was surprising. But you know what? It was fun. Did you have fun, sir?
I did. I did. It really, it had me a little. I was having many anxiety attacks throughout that because I was just like, oh my god, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be.
You know, I mean, I expected it to be hard. That's why I was curious to see how he would fare. But you know what? There could be future ones. We could have you back on with 10 other sound effects, and we could see how you could test your mettle against those. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of myself with the Geodude one. You know, I trusted the heart of the cards, and it paid off.
The Geodude one was a very dramatic save. I like that one a lot. Couldn't have wrote it any better. And for you guys listening, if you guys were playing along, I would love to know which ones you got right and which ones maybe not so much. If you want to let me know, And as we wrap up, Odell, thanks for joining me. And where can people find you?
They can find me online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all your favorite social media sites at Odell Harmon Jr. That's ODELLHARMON Jr.
That's right. All right, guys, that wraps up this edition of Hear That Pokemon.
I was like, is that the end of the episode? Is that how we're writing it off?
All right, I want to thank Odell one more time for coming on to do that for me. I've forgotten how much fun that was, and I'm looking forward to having him back on in the future to see if he can maybe improve his record, see if he can at least hit that 4 out of 10 prediction I had earlier. And that closes out another episode of Marcus Talks About Games. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you can find me on Twitter at MarcusStewart7. That's the number 7. If you want to reach out, hit me up, tell me what you like, tell me what you didn't like, and strum up some conversation about the games that you're playing. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show, whether you're listening to it on YouTube at Marcus Makes Media, that's the name of the channel, or SoundCloud, same name, Marcus Makes Media, or if you're listening to it on iTunes or Podbean, Marcus Writes About Games. You can also find me doing my writing exploits at Screen Rant, writing about video game news there. You can also find me on thehardtimes.net, which is a parody news site, more or less similar to The Onion. I recently had my first satire article published in their video game section called Hard Drive. I got a funny little piece up poking fun at Sonic the Hedgehog titled Disturbing Poll, Majority of Population Still Unaware of the Wordplay in Miles Per Hour. And if you're unaware of what that reference is, you should probably check that article out. But I'd appreciate it, give it a look, get a good laugh. And as always, you can always catch me on the 2 Dungeons & Dragons podcasts, the live plays that I'm a part of, We Wanted Adventurers, and the other is Drakengard, hosted by Jack Gardner, former guest on the show and co-host of the Best Games Period podcast. They're 2 live plays, 2 different campaigns. Both of them are silly, fun, goofy, just nonsense. Really great time if you're into D&D, of course, as well as just listening to people play tabletop games. You can find both of those shows, We Wanted Adventurers and Drakengard, on either extralife.com as well as SoundCloud and Libsyn. And with that, you can tie a bow on another episode of Marcus Talks About Games. I'll catch you guys next Monday. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great Monday, and I'll see you next week.